this session.
Thank you so much. So after hearing the CX experts, this topic could be boring, right? So CX as such is quite an esoteric topic, at least for me. I'm still learning the various aspects of CX, how it can be implemented, can be improved, can be optimized, right? So I'm still learning. I'm sure that's the case with most of you, right? But I can assure you that we won't bore you with this topic because it's a very, very relevant and very pertinent topic. That's building resilient critical infrastructure for digital nation. So all of us, I think most of us have been part of building enterprise solutions, right, for our clients, for our nation, for the ministries, right, for the state governments. And the focus is mostly on the functionality, right, most of the times, and performance, right? In my experience, since I've been part of some of the key initiatives of the country like Aadhaar and so on and so forth, I can tell you resilience is one topic which doesn't come up so early in the discussion, right? It's always an afterthought. Once we roll out a solution, a platform, we realize resilience, is a very, very critical aspect and has not been touched adequately, right? So I think we're 30 minutes away from lunch, so please show your resilience to sit here, right? So in last 15, 20 years, what we have seen is the growth of digital in the country, right? Starting from e-commerce solutions that we saw in 2005, 2010 years, right, in that period, followed by healthcare solutions, digital payments. Aadhaar also came in that period, right? We can't imagine our lives without a digital identity, right? I'm sure all of you have an Aadhaar, right, with you now. And wherever you go, you proudly show your ID card, the Aadhaar card, right? That was one of the foundation that was built to make India a digital nation, right? And then followed by the, as I said, e-commerce solutions, the healthcare solutions, even food delivery apps, could be your Digi Yatra we spoke about, right? Now this is really creating a situation where we are too dependent on technology, right? Dependent on platforms. We can't imagine a day living without our smartphones. Can we? I'm sure the answer is a big no from everyone, right? So we are so used to that. Each and everything that we do is impacted by technology that we use. Okay, there's someone who is offering that platform in the back end and making sure that your life is not disrupted, correct? Essentially what is happening is a resilience in the system that is driving the continuity, the experience, right, that we get. And we ensure that when I want food to be delivered, I get food on my table. When I want to make a payment, it doesn't fail. System is up and running, right? Now, these things really matter a lot and ensure that if resilience is ensured, we have the stability, we have economic growth, we have inclusion, right? And it is pretty much reflected in the way India is progressing. So I can give you a statistic, right? So what I believe is that financial inclusion is something that a measure which I see personally, whether it is improving or not, and if it is improving, that means we are doing good on digital, right? So India was around 33.6 on a scale of 0 to 100 in 2013 or 14 period. Now we are at 66 or 67. In just 10, 12 years, how we have transformed the entire economy, how we have transformed the service delivery. The most remarkable part is adoption of those services, right? Which is due to government initiatives, which is due to the affordable internet, affordable smartphones, public-private partnerships, right? And we can also see the digital natives who are coming up, right? The Gen Z, as we say, right? Who are and the millennials who are adopting everything, what is digital on in the environment, right? So today we'll just deliberate on the resilience part of the digital infrastructure, and for that I'm going to invite my panelists. So first we have Dr. S.D. Sudarshan. The sir is Executive Director at CDAC. Please, sir. Next we have is Ms. Shikha Dahiya. So Shikha ji is the Joint Director, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MIT, Government of India. Then we have Dr. Satya N. Gupta. So Dr. Gupta is Secretary General, ITU APT Foundation of India. And the last panelist, Mr. Santosh Devraj. Is he here? Yeah. So he's the co-founder of Trust Grid. Thank you so much. Please take your seats. So without taking any more time, let me start bombarding them with questions. So my first question goes to Dr. Sudarshan. Sir, you are part of CDAC, and CDAC is the brain and the backbone behind some of India's most strategic technology missions, right? And you have been part of some of them. So, do you want to just tell us, as India's digital footprint expands exponentially, how do you define resilience in today's context? Is it redundancy, recovery, or self-reliance, or is it a combination of all?
Yeah. Thank you, Rakesh. Thank you, BTS, Beyond Silver Jubilee. So that is a resilience by itself. We have become a world event. Happy to be here. So resilience, okay, by definition, the way we look at autonomous driving to a lot of things, I will define it as the ability to recover from failure on its own, maybe a kind of phoenix. So from that perspective, redundancy is one enabler, but whether it will recover from failure on its own, so it is redundancy plus something. So we are on the pathway to resilience. As we become fully resilient, the autonomous systems will become more real. So this is the current journey we are going through, starting from very simple assisted automation to automation to completely autonomous. That is the journey we are doing. I think on the data front also it is similar. We have come a long way from data and information to knowledge or actionable information. From there we have to make a ability to decide for unknown situation, yet not seen. Maybe we can call it wisdom if you follow our Indian style of talking. So how do you enable wisdom? I think the data plane, which is mostly AI driven today, and the technologies for redundancy that can be self-recovering in the face of failures. I think this together will define resilience for me. So our systems should be both automated to the extent that they can take decisions for unknown situations to recover, maybe reduce the quality of service till they become full. And the data is also so understood by the system that they take wise decisions. This is what I look at.
Yeah, one important point you made is the resilient against the unknown. That is very important, yeah. Thank you for bringing it up. My next question is for Shikha-ji. So Shikha-ji, like MIT has been central to designing architecture of India's DPIs, right, Aadhaar and other platforms, right? So in your view, what are the new frontiers of resilience that government is prioritizing, especially as cyber, AI, and privacy risks, intersect each other?
Yeah, so India has built some of the largest digital public infrastructure in the world that includes UPI, Aadhaar, FASTag, etc. I think something that is being prioritized by the government is security by design, first of all. So for example, when we think of DigiLocker, it's not a secondary thought to build in the security mechanism. It's the first, from the first day itself when we build the system, the platform, we think of security by design. The other thing is privacy by design, which, for example, in case of platforms being built, we don't really want to take sensitive information and store it. We instead use tokenization methods. So that's privacy by design that government is prioritizing. With the upcoming of AI, a lot of AI tech is getting into DPI, for example, Bhashini, which is our language platform. And a lot of research is happening into identifying deep fakes and other risks of AI. And frameworks are being built into place so as that our system that we put together are sound and accurate. Beyond this, resilient infrastructure is something that government has been, it's a priority for the government from day one. Our certain teams which responds to any kind of attack and threat are very much strengthened and on its toes. The recovery time is very less, and in a lot of cases, we are also able to identify threats in advance. So I think all in all, there's a lot of advancements which is happening in terms of technology, which is posing certain risks, but I think the government is equally on its toes to counter any such threat.
Absolutely. Privacy by design is a very critical aspect because of the volume data that we generate, right? It has to be secure, it has to be managed in an appropriate way, right? Thank you. Dr. Satya, so as Secretary General of ITU APT Foundation, you have been instrumental in advancing telecom, 5G, and cybersecurity standards for India, right? And you are all considered expert in telecom field. So we know that telecom and connectivity form the nervous system of our digital infrastructure. How do you see global standards evolving to strengthen resilience by design, especially as we enter the 6G and quantum communication era?
Oh, thank you, Rakeshji, for the kind words. Actually, as we have already got the definition of resiliency, basically it boils down to always on. It should be always available. As far as the international standards are concerned about resiliency, it is measured in graded manner in the number of nines. You would have heard about 5 nines. 5 nines means 99.999, and that is the minimum requirement of any critical infrastructure. In fact, for any infrastructure, if you call it a critical infrastructure like telecom, then it has to be 8 nines. 8 nines is 99.999999. That is what for data centers it is required. So for that there are standards, there are international practices, what we call best international practices. One thing, of course, starting point is redundancy. To achieve, let us say, 5 9 also, everything have to be redundant, duplicated. Media redundancy especially is required here. Player redundancy or service provider redundancy is required, and for that there are a lot of technical standards. I will not go in that, like optical fiber cable standards are there, G9.71 series. Then for the equipment there are standards. Now you can have terabit kind of capacity based on the standard they are using. But for me, actually, from international best practices, what you have to make a critical infrastructure, especially from telecom point of view, you need what is called these days intelligent systems. Intelligent systems is a best international practice. There are many of them. It starts with AI/ML. So you just cannot achieve anything without AI/ML. That is given. And that is the word intelligence comes from there. But even that is not enough actually. There are so many other best practices. Like one of the best practices I will like to mention is the pooling of the players. Let us say we are talking of a critical infrastructure, backbone infrastructure. So what is done in most of the places is the critical part of the infrastructure is pooled together from different players. They can be competitors, they can be private, they can be government. In India itself, there is in the policy it is mentioned about having a national fiber grid. And in name of BharatNet it was tried, but it has not delivered the way it is expected. So you have to make a pool of all the infrastructure. Physically they have to be connected, and more than that, logically. logically the redundancy, the ring has to be created, duplication have to be created so that you can achieve beyond 5 nines. In addition to that, there is a concept which is used world over. It's called functional separation. Actually, what they do from a main owner of an infrastructure, they separate the underlying, the main backbone infrastructure. They separate it logically. That is called functional separation. And then put under a common pool, under a autonomous body, and whatever they want to use it for, that they get, of course, as a first right of refusal. The spare capacity is used to provide redundancy to the other in the pool. So that is what has worked all over the world actually. Unfortunately, in India, we have not made use of that. In addition to that, there are many other intelligent systems. One of them I'll discuss maybe in the later question, but there is this blockchain can be used now. Because resilience means secured, available, trusted, and responsible. These 4 categories put together. So the trust, as you know, AI, ML, whatever you do, for trust actually you have to use some other intelligence. And that intelligence comes through blockchain. Actually, blockchain protocol itself is called protocol of the trust. So that is what. So these are some of the practices which are used all over the world to make the infrastructure, especially the critical infrastructure, really resilient.
Sir, you have made our life even more tougher. I thought 99 followed by 4 nines was sufficient. But now you're talking about 8 nines. Okay.
5 nines. Unfortunately, in India, nobody talks more than 2 nines. 99% they say good enough. But that is not the case. I'm talking about the best international practices. Below 5 nines, nothing can be called resilient.
Yeah, so get ready for 8 nines, maybe in 5 years from now? Yeah.
Have your data centers, you need 8 nines.
Right. Okay, Mr. Santosh, TrustGrid has been pioneering decentralized and confidential computing models for data trust. So as critical infrastructure becomes increasingly distributed across clouds, devices, and geographies, how do you see the architecture of trust evolving? Can decentralized models make national infrastructure more resilient? So would like to hear your views on that.
Sure. Yeah, so our colleague panelist mentioned quite a few things about trust as well as criticality built into resilience. Built into resilience. There is many number of infrastructure categories. If you look at national infrastructure, the critical infrastructure for national security, critical infrastructure for private sector, critical infrastructure for private consumer sector, all of that is super critical in their own category. How do we build resilience which can deliver privacy, security, and trust is really the foundation of building the infrastructure layer. From the point of traditional infrastructure where there are data centers, server-based infrastructures, critical networks, all of them are redundant, the redundancy built into the infrastructure itself. As we now transform towards decentralized architecture, and that becomes really important to deliver that 99.9999, the 8 nines, because the way we can deliver that is by building a node-based architecture where we're not relying on just one data center or 2 or 4. It's actually powered by every device. Doesn't matter it's a server or a device like a telephone, which is mobile phone I'm talking about, or an iPad, or every device becomes part of the network. And every device becomes part of the trust system. Because we shifted the boundary from just building secure, resilient data center to secure, decentralized trust model.
So you are essentially saying that we have to build more redundancy and reduce single point of failures, right, in the system?
Yeah, the way we do that is basically enabling everybody the ownership of the data rights to be split across multiple node-based architecture. That means we're not just putting the data or they're utilizing the compute resource only at the data center to store data, or to transmit data, or to process data. We're utilizing every piece of hardware, semiconductors, technology, enabling that to be part of the ecosystem, creating a whole decentralized, secure ecosystem where citizens, governments, community, banking, all of the private sectors plays together.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dr. Satya, let me go back to you. You are passionate about the data space project. Do you want to tell us more about that project? Because that is quite relevant in this context.
Oh, thank you, Rakesh ji, again for a very sensitive question you have put. Actually, the data space, of course, data space is a architecture. I'll come to that, but I'll like to give you the background of data space. It's basically a reference architecture kind of thing. Actually, 2 days back only, the government have issued the DPDP notification, and the law for last 2.5 years, which was there, has become now operational. And in that, a lot of work has to be done by the service providers, by the companies, by the government also. And for that, of course, 18 months are given. And analogy comes from GDPR of Europe. As you know, GDPR came many years back. Government of India was trying to put it as it is, but somehow the industry consents could not be built. But whenever the industry consents could be built in 2.5 years, they have come, requirements are almost same. Actually, when GDPR was enacted, the European industry also struggled. Not for just 2 years, for 4 years. They just could not implement that. They could not make it operational. And that is where the data space and architecture or a reference framework was created. And that was created through an act in the EU and was made mandatory. And the full Europe could implement the GDPR within 6 months. That is the beauty of or power of the data space. Actually, data space is a architecture which facilitates a secured and privacy preserving IT management infrastructure to pool, access, process, use and share data. So that is the promise of this, and it is actually working there. It ensures data sovereignty, which is the theme of the DPDP Act now, like data privacy, data sovereignty, and data ownership. And not only ownership, the owner of the data has to manage it also. He has to make it secured. It is something like self-service kind of thing. And data sovereignty, so that creator and owner of the data controls, manages, monetize and protect it. Protection is main thing. And that consent management, which is being talked about already. And the main element of data space, that is where the learning has to be there, is called connector. Connector is like API. In the earlier days, it used to be called an interface, where the customer connects to the infrastructure actually. That is the interface. Now they call it a connector. And the connector is an old name where we used to use connector. But here this connector is a new avatar of API, which is intelligent. This connector has the software. It is intelligent. It has a KYC. It has NDA built in that. Everything happens so that your identity management is done, your privacy management is done, and your consent management also is done through this connector. That is the main interface of the data space. And what it does is, it is an interface of the data provider and data consumer to the IT infrastructure or the network infrastructure after the authentication and validation of the user. The KYC part is taken care of intelligently, not physically. And it also employs smart contract. You may be knowing blockchain, now smart contracts are there, which automates any contract between two party or multiple party and execute them also. And that is where it is required. Your NDA means your policy, like every owner of the data have a policy to whom he can share, to whom it can deny, and what for it can be shared. Everything is there in the DP Act notification also. So it is being done using intelligent system here again, using AI, ML, smart contract, which is a
So, sir, are these guidelines published somewhere which can be referred?
Yes,
world?
yes. The EU, you go to EU.
The data space architecture that you are saying.
Yeah, that is in the EU only, because in India we are talking actually officially in the public platform, it is being talked today only.
Okay.
Because you have asked the question, and I wanted that question actually myself. So the data space actually fortifies the data of any owner in totally democratized, decentralized manner, so that the data owner has full control and full protection of data. In a nutshell, and that is, I have named it, data space provides Lakshman Rekha around your data. Lakshman Rekha, the supreme protection ring. And it actually does so. Yeah. And as far as the notification is concerned, it is there. Actually, these days you Google, you ask ChatGPT actually. She will tell you where it is, what I'm talking. Everything will come out there. So in India, I think this is the first time I'm raising that debate, because in Bangalore, I believe Bangalore IT guys should take this as a reference, create a product actually. It can be created as a product. Though it is a reference, it's an architecture. We can create a protocol out of it, a protocol like TCP IP protocol is there. Blockchain have some protocol. And India can lead this actually, though Europe have taken the lead, but we can lead it by converting into a software product under DPI, like we have India Stack. It can be made a part of the India Stack, madam, actually, and CDAC, Dr. Sudarshan is there. They can do it, create a product out of this, a data space connector. Only for connector you have to create a product. Sir. Thank you, sir.
So it looks like we run out of time. I'm getting a reminder from the team here. So I'll just go to the last question. It's for all the panelists, and would like to hear your view very shortly on this. So India's ambition for sovereign cloud and compute infrastructure is getting traction. How can public-private partnerships accelerate indigenous innovation in this space while ensuring performance parity with global players? What are some of the initiatives or upcoming innovations that could help India pole vault in adoption of high performance, trusted and secure digital services? Mr. Santosh, you can start. Yeah.
Thank you. So I think there's a lot of decentralized architecture definition has been told,
just
which is
minute,
great.
yeah.
The sovereign digital identity and sovereign data ownership, privacy preserved transaction, having the consent management done by public, private, government, consumers as citizens as well as the users of the data. Bringing all of them together is super critical. And that's through decentralized architecture. We just launched our product called Sync Social, for example, made in India for the world, which is the first ever social media platform built in India, built by our people for the rest of the world, and that's sovereign digital platform, for example. Like that, we need to create many more platforms to counter against TikTok, Meta, Insta, and many other technologies, not just from an app point of view, but also from an AI, chipset manufacturing, server, cloud, infrastructure, operating systems, many more.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks. Dr. Sudarshan.
Yeah, so a number of questions, but I'll address a couple of them, keeping the time in mind. First of all, today we are not looking at anything substandard just because it is made in India. That point is very clear. Across the board, we are both from the research side, policy side, implementation side, it is at par or better than the globe. There is nothing that is quality lowered. That is one part. The second, I will like to cite a small example on the semiconductor space that we are doing, which is also helping the high performance side. The C2S, Chip to Startup program under the India Semiconductor Mission. Today, 300 academic institutions under one roof have access to all the EDA tools, the best in the class in the world, available to all of them. What it has done is, first of all, the cost barrier is taken care because it is provided across the country, and it has also eliminated the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So it is common to all. Second, that is inclusion, diversity. Third, by providing access to multiple tools, which are otherwise very expensive for an institute from a design perspective, both startup, MSME and academia. Now they are able to try a combination of tools from different vendors to get the best optimal path, because a chip design involves using at least 50 plus tools, and not one vendor gives all the 50 at the best in class. So this combination has become today feasible, so that today designs are most optimal that is coming out of our country. This is one example. The second example I will say is on the high performance side. As I speak, few months ago, our Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated 3 1 petaflop data centers at Pune, NCRA, then IUC, Delhi, SN Bose, Calcutta. These HPC servers were designed in India, manufactured in India, and benchmarked with global benchmarking in terms of production capability. As I speak, these are being demonstrated and displayed at the supercomputing conference in US, which is the global premium place. So that is the stage we have reached. And as we speak, we have a plan to do exascale in the coming years. Another point we would like to say, somebody may say, why not exascale today? For a country like India, we would like to first scale out, because it is not good to have just one peak and leave a lot of things.
Absolutely.
The easy analogy is our chess. We had one grandmaster. Today we have highest number of GMs and IMs. So we need global quality players. Champions will automatically emerge. So the target is democratize, scale out, make it inclusive. This is what we are going towards Viksit Bharat 2047.
Thank you, sir.
I'll just keep it brief and I'll add to that. When we talk about cybersecurity and resilience, from the government, we expect every stakeholder, every participant in the market to share equal responsibility. So for example, the government is taking a lot of initiatives, for example, having cyber sandboxes. The private players can test their products into it. And the second point about the privacy part, which sir has just mentioned, I think sharing by consent and being equally responsible in that particular initiative is also something that where private participants are a key partners. Going forward, I think not just being reactive, but also being preemptive as a whole structure is something that we are looking at, which will help us be resilient and soundproof overall.
Just closing remarks, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Actually, like already Dr. Sudarshan and Madam have already told, my view is also same. Actually, everything we do these days have to have a collaboration or PPP. And luckily, you may be knowing, last month only Government of India first time created a 1 lakh crore fund where the private players also can get funding for R&D and sandbox approach. First time it happened. Earlier, all the government funding was going only to government institutions, only to IITs. Now even private players. And that is the proof that government want to support this collaboration and private actors also, I think. And it is required also because every player have to contribute. Like government can contribute money, government can contribute policy, but the real talent, let me, Madam, just pardon me to saying that, real talent is still in private sector actually. That is what I like.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Sorry for grabbing the mic again. First of all, when I talked about chip to startup, the academic institute can be any academic institute. It can be private, no problem. Second, the startup and MSME are basically private. The funding is going through the chip design. So that is to moving us to a product nation too. Now, one small point, 2 weeks from now, December 9 to 13, we are bringing the supercomputing platform to India first time, and it will happen at Manipal Institute of Technology. We have a special booth in hall number 2 itself. Please look at it, please join, participate, because that is going to reduce the cost of us exposing our capability to the rest of the world. Instead of we participating abroad, which is very expensive, we are going to have an India platform to see the global stage. Thank you.
So truly a delight to hear our panelists, given the wealth of experience and the background they have. I'm sure 30 minutes wasn't sufficient. We require more time. definitely we'll connect on some other forum. So I think what has come out very clearly is that resilience is no longer an afterthought. A lot of design phase discussions are already happening, right? And the initiative which government has initiated, even the private sector is also working on that. So I think I'm sure this is going to be one of the critical aspects while designing the enterprise platforms. And as Dr. Satya said, 99 followed by 8 nines is already giving me, those, is already making me, scared. But definitely we will work towards this. Well, thank you so much, panelists. Thank you so much, audience. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Actually, the reference is AWS, Amazon. It failed only for 10 minutes in last.
Well, thank you everyone. May I request Sri Rakesh Ranjanji to kindly present our token of respect to all the panelists. Many thanks to all the panelists once again, and we'll be meeting post-lunch. And thanks for wonderful moderation, Shri Rakesh Ranjanji, to receive our honor. Shikha Dahiyaji to kindly present the token of respect to Shri Rakesh Ranjanji. Well, that was a great exchange program. See you all on the other side of break, and we will be meeting at sharp 2 o'clock in the same hall for the next session on R&D Lab 2 Market.